Good morning, champ. Welcome to the Professional Problem Solver Show. Thanks for joining us this morning at 7 a.m. We'll be here every day during the week at 7 a.m. So start getting used to this time. Today, we are going to cover a very important topic. Very important topic because there's a paradigm shift in communication, paradigm shift in generations, and paradigm shift from paper to digital. Anyone can feel that, anyone can see that. So today we're going to talk about how to start a conversation, how to strike a conversation. So the reason why I want to talk about this is because going to different businesses, helping different organizations, I work with different generations, salespeople, different generation executives, and I can see a struggle in some of the older generation, some of the people who are members of the baby boomers that have hard time starting a conversation online or have hard time behaving online, hard time following the proper etiquette. And the same way, in the same time, I see a struggle in some of the members of the newest generation having a problem to start a conversation live. Face to face. Face to face is the biggest struggle for the newest generation, and starting a conversation the proper way with the older generation is the same problem on the other end. So, how do you start a conversation? Think about this. Every person that you've met in your life, every person that belongs in your life was once a stranger, besides your friends and family, besides the people, not even all of your friends, but besides your family, pretty much everyone you've ever met was once a stranger. So the first thing you want to do is figure out, do I normally start conversations or do strangers open up with me? That's the first thing we got to determine. Are you an extrovert or an introvert? Are you the person that normally initiates the conversation or the person who normally waits who normally waits to be approached? If you always wait for other people to start talking to you, you are definitely missing out on the best experience with life. You might be having a little bit more boring experience with life with the average human being. So today I'm going to show you at least 20 effective ways on how you can start a conversation with a total stranger and feel very comfortable, very confident about yourself, and make it a little bit easy. Okay, so the first thing I want you to focus on is realize that starting a conversation with strangers would lead to many opportunities. It would lead to a lot of new experiences, and every single one would qualify for a great learning experience. What I mean by that is, if you just see it from the perspective that you could learn from every human being, because every human being has a unique experience with life, and if you are passionate about learning from others, and if you're passionate about teaching others, this would be a phenomenal way to extract data during times while you're around strangers. So, why don't you start the conversation? If you're one of those people who has hesitations to start, nervousness to start, why don't you start the conversation? Let's figure out a few reasons. The first reason might be because you feel that it could be an awkward situation. You don't want to feel awkward, right? So breaking the ice in the effective way where you don't feel awkward would really help you out. And we're going to cover this. So stay with me. Afraid of what others may think. The fear of other people's opinion is probably the most popular fear in today's world. Or some people are just stressed out because they feel that if the other person's first reaction is negative, they're not going to be able to take that rejection easily. They're not going to be able to take that rejection lightly, right? And that happens all the time. Sometimes when we approach someone that is way outside of our class in our mind and they reject us or they have a negative reaction, it becomes a core memory and it disallow us to try again. So we don't want to end up in that situation, right? People feel important when you express interest in them. So that's one of the things that you need to focus on. The more interested you are in others, the more others are going to be interested in you. If you initiate that contact first, you're definitely going to gain some leverage. So we're going to talk a lot about leverage today in the most positive way of the meaning of the world, right? Besides that, you always want to create first impression. Your goal in life is to create first impression with everyone. You need to practice creating first impression. We all need to practice creating first impression with anyone, because you never know who you're going to be encountering. You never know who you're talking to. As a matter of fact, I want to recommend a book, and I'm prepared right here to make this show a little more interactive. Stay with me. Buy this book, The Power of Nice. Order this book right now. It's such a phenomenal choice to help you understand why being proactive with approaching others and being proactive in investing in others is such a great investment in life, right? So you never know who you're talking to. Invest in the book Power of Nice. It totally changed my life. It's an amazing book. Um, the lady who wrote it is sharing a few significant stories that could be life changing for you as well. So why don't we approach people? Why do we hesitate to start a conversation? A lot of times we feel that rejection is is the enemy, right? So rejection is actually very low chance to appear when we start a conversation. Most people are going to be open to at least communicate in a basic conversation. So rejection is not such a big problem as we think it is. And most people, 99% of the people, don't start conversation because they feel they're going to be rejected. So the negative self-talk would a lot of times freeze us, prevent us from being the person who is going to start the conversation, right? So my best advice is to just start with a genuine and unique compliment. Everyone loves compliments. Men, women, kids, elderly, everyone appreciate compliments. Just make sure that it's a unique compliment, it's genuine, because if for some reason it doesn't feel like it's genuine, it's going to have the opposite effect, right? So you never want to have the opposite effect, because then your first impression is going to fail dramatically, right? There's another thing that I want to talk to you about. Um, if you ask for a favor, this is a great technique. If you ask for a favor, if the first thing that comes out of your mouth when you want to engage with somebody is you asking for a favor, there's something called the subconscious bond. It's a psychological technique. And when you ask for a favor, if people take action right after your request, for some reason, they feel that they have to subconsciously like you if they're already taking the action, right? So try it. Just ask for a favor, and if the people act on your request, it's definitely helping you to break the ice, and it's going to help you to become likable. The other thing is an experiment that Ben Franklin did a long time ago. He called it. What he did is he was asking folks for a small favor, and really uh, realized that the brain must what's that word, rationalize the idea that if I'm doing a favor for you, that means I already like you. I've already made that decision in my brain that I accept you. So many people try with small talk. Like the most common question is, "How are you?" But what I call that is fluff, because the only thing "How are you" is going to lead to is a automatic reactionary response, something like "I'm fine, I'm good," and that's actually disengaging. That's going to disconnect you to the person. So if you ask open-ended questions, you most likely will have a little bit better success, right? So if you want to be likable, ask questions that have um, answers that suggest personal experience. So, for example, if you meet someone at a coffee shop, ask them what's your favorite drink, or get them to express themselves in some sort of way. If you're in a bookstore, if those still exist, you could ask what's your favorite book, for example, right? So you want to extract personal experience, because People like the attention. Right now, the only currency we have in the world is attention. So the more you ask about personal experiences, the more people are interested in you, and the more you're going to suggest that you're a likable person. People will definitely like you if you go for that. In order to ask a smart question, you got to be able to observe. You got to be able to see the situation, and you got to make sure that you also uh, listening. You're also listening to understand, not just to hear them. You want to be able to demonstrate active listening. I want to give you some examples on how you can demonstrate active listening. One of my favorite techniques, for example, if you are a little shy, if you're an introvert and you're trying to build the skill on how to start conversations, one of the best techniques you could use is if you are focusing on the other person's left eye, and then the right eye, and then the nose. So if you focus on their left eye for about 10 seconds, and then you move to the right eye for about 10 seconds, and then you move to their nose for about 10 seconds, they will have the perception that you're definitely paying attention to every word they're saying, and you're very, very intense in listening. You're very active in listening. You're listening, you're present, you're definitely giving them the necessary attention. So if you're embarrassed to look people in the eyes, a lot of people have huge problem with eye contact. Just start practicing that technique. Look people in the eyes, switch from left to the right, from the right to the nose, from the nose to the left, and just keep that triangle for 10 seconds each and see how that works for you. Another tip with eye contact, if you have problems with eye contact, is when you're greeting somebody. When you're greeting somebody, you really want to hold your eye contact for about 3.5 seconds. And in order for you to do that, all you have to do is try to determine their eye color. It takes about 3.5 seconds for the average human being to determine the other person's eye color. And anything under 3.5 seconds really suggests insecurity. It suggests uh, maybe you're not trustworthy. Maybe you're hiding something. And anything over 3.5 seconds for first impression could be considered a little too much, like a creep, right? So don't hold eye contact for a little too long because it could suggest different emotions. So while you're trying to determine their eye color would be enough time for them to feel that you're truly trying to connect. But if you want to listen to somebody and demonstrate active listening, definitely do the triangle technique, test it out, and let me know in the comments how it worked for you. You want to become memorable. So having a great sense of humor is a guaranteed way to become memorable and become likable. It's a guaranteed way. In sales, we like to say that if you make your clients, your buyers laugh, they will buy faster, easier, and they will pay way more. So it's the same thing when you're starting a conversation. If you can make anyone laugh, you would become likable right off the bat. People would want to spend more time with you, and you would be able to strike conversations easy. So starting off with a joke is the best way to be able to connect with somebody. Sense of humor is something that people connect on, and it's really, 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 really strong relationship. Everybody enjoys laughing. Everybody wants to connect with people who make them laugh. So this is probably the most powerful way to start a conversation, starting with a joke. But you got to make sure it's a universal humor, because if you're the only one laughing, the joke didn't work. And everyone likes to laugh, but nobody likes to laugh at themselves. So if you're making fun of somebody as a starter, that's not going to go well. Your approach is not very successful. So making people laugh is also a great way to turn some of those tense people, some of those people that are a little uptight. I remember that when I was working with like 10 clients on daily basis, I would run into some negative people. And with negative people, there are a couple of different techniques that you could use, but specifically, I wouldn't start my process without seeing their smile. Some of them come grumpy, some of them didn't sleep well. So I wanted to make sure I get a smile from everyone. And if you just look in people's eyes, if you just make an eye contact, right? And this time you want to hold it for longer. This time you want to hold it for longer. As a matter of fact, you want to hold it for as long as it takes. And then you want to give it your best smile. And you want to hold your smile and make eye contact with people and see how long it's going to take him to start laughing. So it might take, for some of those grumpy people, it might take about 9 seconds, but do this today. You want to make somebody laugh, you want to make somebody smile. I don't care if you're an introvert, extrovert, if you're a human being, this is going to work. Test it today. Go to somebody if you want to make them smile, and just make sure you lock in eye contact with them and give it your best smile, and don't lose eye contact. Don't lose your smile until they start smiling back. With some people, it's going to take 2 seconds. With some people, it's going to take 9 seconds, but you're going to make somebody's day if you just test this new technique today. And I promise you, it's definitely going to work for a conversation starter as well. When you just try that technique, and that obviously you have to feel more comfortable. If you just lock in eyes with someone, uh, if it's the opposite sex, it's gonna really create out all kinds of emotions and all kinds of analysis. But if it's the same sex, it will probably create some analysis as well. But if you lock in eyes with somebody and you hold on to your smile, you will definitely get the same effect back. Or you might get somebody who's a little concerned calling the cops on you and thinking that you are a creep in today's world, right? So smile and make eye contact. That's one of the things that people uh, need in order to connect with others. And then having a great sense of humor is also a skill. If you have built a negative belief in your mind that you don't have great sense of humor, this is something that you can definitely learn. It's a skill. So start practicing some jokes, learn some universal one-liners that literally make everyone laugh, and start using those on daily basis so you can train your body on the instinct of being funny, being able to respond on certain situations or um, certain conversations in a way to make everyone laugh. It's a huge gift, right? So think about this. If you're talking to a person, you also want to be very energetic. Energy is something that we can't fake. And if you have a negative, toxic energy, you will definitely pass that on to the person you're talking to. So, a lot of times people are looking for the most energetic person to engage with. If you are that person, if you're the most energetic, the most positive person in the room, everybody would want to engage with you. So, it will be easier for you to approach people. If you're confident, if you're overflowing with positive energy, people are going to be naturally attracted to you. So starting a conversation would be something very natural, very easy. So if you focus on having tremendous energy, that will definitely help you to strike more conversations. Be excited, demonstrate enthusiasm, and make sure that you want to be a person who is genuine and genuinely excited, not fake it till you make it type of person, because that's not going to work. You cannot fake your energy. uh, we ought besides that, the other thing you got to consider is common ground. You can find common ground with people if you're good at observation, right? And most people strike conversations based on that. So they would see somebody's outfit. If it represents their favorite team or their favorite brand, they would maybe start with a compliment, suggesting that they have the same interest. And being able to find common ground is also a great gift and amazing way to start a conversation, because people like to communicate with like-minded people. If you show and demonstrate to people that you're just like them, they have to like you because you're just like them. You most likely make decisions that are similar to decisions they're going to make, and you have similar experience with life if you have the same interests. So people want to connect with you if you suggest that you have common ground. Now, I teach in my classes a technique where you could connect with everyone. You could connect with everyone. You could create 5 common ground points in less than 5 minutes with somebody. And that creates a perception that people are very close to you, that people like you, that you're also very universally likable person. So it suggests that you're trustworthy. And it's a great technique that anyone could learn. So if you're an introvert and if you're not so good at observation, if that's what you're thinking, if you're thinking right now, listening to this, I'm not so good at building common ground, I can definitely show you how to do that with everyone on planet Earth. So you know, besides building common ground, as you're building common ground, the most important thing is to be able to listen in a way that you're showing that the attention is real. So when you're listening truly, you have to demonstrate by maybe repeating some of the things that people are saying. I forgot to say that when I was talking about listening, but repeating some of the things that people said, and making sure that you don't interrupt. People don't like the interrupting type. I used to be that guy growing up, and it's very annoying for everyone involved. The person who interrupts at some point would feel uneasy, but nobody likes the person who interrupts. So if you want to be likable, definitely don't interrupt people. Sometimes if you want to take notes so you don't miss your thoughts, do that. Be respectful. Be respectful to others. Hold on to your point. Listen, make sure they're finished, and then make your point. But nobody likes to be interrupted, and nobody likes the person who interrupts. So never interrupt people. Never ask people if they're finished. That's also kind of rude. And another tip I want to give you, if you want to strike a conversation in the proper direction, don't start with maybe a grammar correction. That's one of the most annoying things, you know. With grammar, it would really lower people's confidence. Nobody likes to make mistakes. They will start feeling uncomfortable with you. So if you start with a criticism, if you start with correction, you will definitely not be likable, no matter how good of a person you are. So never, ever, 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 ever start a conversation with correction, with any sort of criticism. You could maybe do that if you have the permission for it, or if the person feels comfortable, or the person allows you, or the person asks you for feedback. That's the best way to offer feedback, when you're actually asked for it. Unwelcome feedback is one of the most annoying things in life. So people will not open up to you if you start with criticism, if you start with correction, if you start with, by the way, you have a little booger here. I mean, nobody wants to feel so awkward, and your first impression is somebody who is correcting them. So always ignore the small mistakes. They're not worth ruining the first impression. If there's a small mistake, it'll be a phenomenal way to laugh about it, down the road, maybe 10 minutes later, after already established common ground, or after you've already established that you like each other. It's good to say, by the way, uh, when I first met you, you you had a little something going on, and then be able to laugh about it, then start with criticism, right? So the other thing that is a huge turnoff is multitasking. You can't build great first impression and start a conversation while you're multitasking. You can't do it while you're over the phone. It's just it totally it totally kills the interest in the other party. Multitasking is definitely a big no-no of from the list that I have for you of what not to do when you start a conversation. Do not multitask. Do not multitask. Do not ask people, do not show people that you've lost their attention. Don't ask people to repeat themselves, because that definitely is annoying. And few more things to avoid, few more questions. For example, in the middle of the conversation, when you've already started the interaction, if you ask, "Am I boring you?" that will be a turnoff, and it will be a suggestion that you're boring them. So that's going to be the core memory from the conversation. Um, if you start a conversation with something that is suggesting bad look, for example, if you say, "Hey, you look a little sleepy today, you look a little tired," you're not creating a first impression that is is something that they would remember in a positive way. So those are some don't do's. Those are some things you want to avoid as a first impression, and your approach to start a conversation. Um, or maybe starting with something from the news, and then adding the comment, "Oh, I thought you wouldn't know this." Okay, so that's really not helping out for great first impression. Don't treat them as an inferior, instead start with did you know that, did you know that. That's another way to start, instead of I thought you wouldn't know this. Or starting a conversation with I don't have much time just puts the attention on let's finish this as quick as possible, right? So that definitely kills the first impression, kills the attention span, kills the engagement. So never start with I don't have much time when you're starting a conversation. Or I've really enjoyed talking to you is another one. But then you ask some questions like, do you need directions to the restroom or something like that? Right? I wouldn't ask that as a first question because it makes people feel stupid. Like, I know where the restroom is. So that's not a good first impression. When you're asking rhetorical questions, that's what I consider fluff, and they're always turn-offs. They're always turn-offs. And when you're starting with a joke, don't start with like a stupid joke. Make sure it's a universal good joke. Bragging about yourself is a huge turnoff. Introducing yourself as I am the best at anything, it's a huge mistake. I'm the best, blah blah blah. I'm the best, blah blah blah. Nobody likes that. Let them make that decision. Let them be the judge of that. Um, or asking people why are they wearing some type of clothes. So instead of making a compliment, you're questioning something about them. That's not going to go well as well. Hey, I hope that I gave you some helpful tips on how you can start a conversation. Don't wait for strangers to start conversations. See, for me, I was naturally gifted. Every time I wait online, I start a conversation. I feel obligated for some reason to start conversations. So I've been starting conversations since a very early age. For me, it's not really getting out of the comfort zone to be the first one to start. I like to open up. I like to be proactive in my approach. I definitely experiment with different people and see their reaction. So I would encourage you to do that as well. Practice starting conversation with anyone. Do it in the gas station. Do it in the bus stop. Do it in any environment, and just start approaching people. Test some of those techniques. Let me know which one works the best. Let me know which one makes people react the same way. Make sure that you test different techniques. Don't give up on the first one if it doesn't work. And let me know in the comments. Get a hold of me. Email me at Velco Academy. You can find us at Velco Academy on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can definitely invite people to our professional problem solvers group on Facebook. It's called the Problem Solvers Group. And visit our website, www.velcoacademy.com, if you're interested in our services or you want to learn more. It was a great pleasure for me to share some of my time with you this morning. Definitely check us out online tomorrow at 7 a.m. We'll be back with a new podcast. We're going to talk about something else tomorrow. And please share this if it was helpful to you, or like it, or comment on it, so I know that you're watching and I'm able to bring some value into your life. Make it a great day and be the elite version of yourself.